We're at my dad's place at the coast. We're gonna try to drill him a well today. They say you can get just about anything you want on Amazon. Now that includes wells. They just sent me this box that's supposed to have a well in it. Who would have thunk it? A water well in a box. A well in a box. What could possibly go wrong here? My grandparents used to own the place next door. It has a very shallow hand-dug well. They used that for decades and it's still in use, so we think there's probably water not too far below. We're gonna poke a hole in the ground, see if we can find some of it. He already has a regular deep well here, but he wants to put this one in just in case of an emergency. What if the pump goes out on that one and it takes someone 2 weeks to get out here to fix it? Those submersible pumps aren't that easy to get to. So we're gonna see if we can get one of these sand point wells to find water. It comes with this pointed perforated tip. You just drive this all down into the ground until it hopefully finds water. We'll start out by doing some good old-fashioned digging. He says he wants it right here. Don't see any water yet. I don't think we're deep enough. I can already tell this is going to be a serious game of patience and a serious game of digging through redwood roots. These redwood trees can put down a shallow layer of tangled roots. This is going to be tough digging at first. It's the middle of August. It's supposed to be 100 degrees inland today. But here on the coast, under this layer of coastal fog, it's coat wearing weather. Until you start doing this kind of work. Then it's not jacket weather anymore. We're supposed to dig a hole this way for the first 2 to 3 feet. We're about 2 feet deep. The roots weren't as bad as I thought they were going to be. Then that's when the fun part starts. After this topsoil, it gets into this kind of a yellow, kind of like clay, but it's actually like a fine sand. It was tough at first, but the deeper I go, the more moist it is and the easier it is. I know I'm going to get some comments on that. I'm talking about the dirt. I don't know if this soil is sandy enough for a sand point well. Hopefully below this layer, we can get down to some sandy soil with water in it. This soil is supposedly old beach sand. We're not that far from the ocean, it's just over there. We'll take the well point, attach one of these pipe links to it. I'm going to use some rubbing alcohol to try to clean those threads, just in case it has some thread cutting fluid left on there. Paper towel was the wrong tool because the threads are shredding it and leaving a mess. But it's a good sign that the paper towel is coming out clean. That means the pipe's probably clean too. Now I'll use a rag to clean up all the paper towel junk. Stir up some pipe dope. Put some of that on the threads. These joints need to seal because if they start sucking air, the pump won't work. Instead of pulling water up, it'll just pull air up. Some say avoid the first thread or two to keep the pipe dope from getting in the water. Is that really necessary? I don't know. I just know it's amazing I was able to handle that gooey pipe dope without getting stuck in a tree at the bottom of the hill. But now, trying to clean up the excess, I'm just making a big mess. Now in cleaning up that mess, I'm making an even bigger mess. Look. We'll start with 2 sections. I wouldn't have so much to clean up if I didn't put so much on. Someone may have forgot to bring a second pipe wrench, but I found this one on the left. It was my grandfather's. It is old, 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 and maybe even older than that, but it still works. This end cap is a sacrificial piece that will protect the rest of it from the impacts that are about to happen. The fog finally burned off just in time for impact. It may look like I'm going into battle, but I'm just digging a well. I better put my earplugs in. This is going to get loud. Using a T-post driver, we start the long journey of banging on this thing. Somebody may have forgot to bring a level, so we're going to make a plumb bob to try to make sure this is straight up and down. Since I don't have an actual plumb bob here, I think a piece of string and a 7/16 socket will work just fine. Right now it's about as straight up and down as a not very straight up and down thing. It's easier to fix that now than it will be when we get it down deep. It didn't take a lot of banging to realize this isn't making much progress. The ground is mostly dry and hard. We decided to put some water in there to soften it up. I banged on it for a while. Then my dad started banging on it for a while until he had enough. Then I started banging on it again. Then he started banging on it again. Until eventually we got tired of banging on it, so we quit banging on it. It's now the next day. It's had some time for the water to maybe soak in. Now it's time to start banging on it again. My plan for today was to bring back the larger, heavier post driver from the ranch and the big sledgehammer to try that, but somebody may have forgot them. It's definitely going faster now that it's been soaking, but still not very fast. It sure would be nice to have that bigger, heavier post driver. Since I don't have it, maybe that would be a good excuse to quit for the day. Go back out to the ranch and try again in a few days. A few days later, not only did I remember the post driver, I brought the sledgehammer too. My concern with the sledgehammer, if it makes a glancing blow, it might mess up the pipe. So my dad came up with the idea, put his small post driver on top of it, and bang on the top of it to protect the pipe. The sledgehammer was working, the pipe was slowly going down. I don't know that there was much advantage to using the sledgehammer, but there was a greater chance that something could go wrong. And it was starting to deform the top of that post driver. I'll try going to the bigger, heavier post driver. It definitely feels like it has more oomph. And we're making enough progress, it's time to put on another section of pipe. At this point, the ground was getting hard. It wasn't making much progress. I decided to go back to the ranch for a few days, give the water a chance to soak down deeper, soften up the soil. Over the next couple weeks, sometimes I would come into town, bang on it for a little while, go back to the ranch, let the water soak in for a few days, come back, bang on it for a while. I spent a lot more time at the ranch than I did here banging on this thing, which was okay with me. After a whole lot more banging than this video would suggest there was, eventually I made enough progress, it was time to put in another section of pipe. Then I started banging on it for just a few more minutes. That was the last time I saw it. Well, look at this. We just traveled forward in time to the end of October. I haven't been to the coast where the well is, which is far, far away from here, in well over a month. And I'm happy to say I'm not there banging on that thing still. I've watched a few videos of people installing these sandpoint wells, and there are a few things they forget to mention. One is just how much banging you're going to have to do on that thing to get it down to find water. If someone has soft, sandy soil, they're probably going to have to do a lot less banging than we had to do with our hard, sandy soil. I've seen people set up some tripod contraptions where they pull on a rope and a thing comes up and down and bangs on it. That might be an easier way to go, but still, it's a lot of banging. We thought about trying a gas-powered T-post driver, but I've never used one of those before. I hear they work really well on T-posts, but I don't know if they drive hard enough to pound a rod in the ground 15, 20 feet deep. The main reason we didn't use one is we didn't have one. The rental places didn't have any. It's a small town over there at the coast. Options are limited. I know there are tractor solutions. You can put things on a tractor to drive them, but we don't have a tractor over there at the coast. I have one here, not there, and it's far. Because of the nature of it, someone could probably assume there's going to be a whole lot of banging on it, which I did. But until you really start banging on it, it's hard to understand just how much banging, a lot of banging, really is. Another thing some of these videos forget to mention is these sandpoint wells are only made for sandy soil. Thus the name sandpoint well. But in life, sometimes you don't know when to take things literally and when not to. For all we know, Sandpoint might mean it was made in Sandpoint, Idaho, or many of the other parts of the country with the name Sandpoint. You can't always just look at a name and assume you know what it means. Well, sometimes you can. I looked into it, found some conflicting information. Some say it is only for going through sand. Others, including the instructions that came with this well, suggest it can go through clay or loam as long as it's not rock or rocky. It only needs to find a layer of sand or gravelly material down where the water is in order to work right. I knew the soil we were working with had a sandy component to it, but there can be a difference between having a sandy component and being sandy. One of the reasons we may have had difficulty with this, most of the videos I've seen of people putting these wells in are in the eastern part of the US, where they actually get rain in the summer. They might have more soil moisture in the summer than we do, where we just don't get rain hardly at all in the summer. The top many feet of soil just completely dries out. Well, not completely, but almost completely. Some of these people were driving theirs down into actual sandy soil. Soil where the sand is sandy, made out of sand that is sandy, unlike the hard stuff we were trying to go through. I was hoping we would get through that layer, find a more sandy layer down below, maybe tap into the same layer of water that Grandpa found with his shallow well next door. I did see a video where someone started out in soft sand, but they ended up going down into hard clay, which didn't work out for this type of well. With a deep well drilling rig, you have the ability to keep drilling until you find the layer you need. But with a sandpoint well, you only have the ability to go about 20 feet or a little bit more. The chances of finding a good layer in 20 feet are much less, unless you already know you have a shallow water table. Now a question I can imagine you might be asking, since we're putting water in the hole to soften the soil, how are we going to know if we actually hit water? Well, I don't know. We haven't figured that part out yet. We wondered that too, but that's something we're going to have to figure out if we decide to continue. My dad said he's banged on it a little bit while I've been gone. It just isn't moving much. In the winter they get a lot of rain there. Maybe the ground will get soaked to the point where it'll be easier to drive it. Or maybe we'll cut our losses and decide that this just isn't a good idea. I later on found out that Grandpa's well might have been about 30 feet deep, which is beyond the reach of this thing, but the water table in that well was up much higher than that. Whether we can get to that water table with this or not, I don't know. If I remember right, we may be only down about 9 or 10 feet. It could be all we've accomplished here is we've installed what could be a really good grounding rod. If we do decide to continue, maybe we'll get ambitious and build some kind of a pounding rig to drive this down. But at this point, I don't think either of us are feeling real optimistic that this type of well is the right thing for that site. Just know if you're going to build one of these things, okay, maybe not build one, but install one, unless you find a better way to do it, you're going to have to do a whole lot of banging. Now take the amount of banging you're picturing, multiply that by a whole lot more banging. That's probably closer to the amount of banging you're going to have to do. How many times have I said the word banging in this video? I don't know. Let us know if you've counted them. I know it's a lot, but not nearly as much as I had to actually do installing the thing. Do your research, make sure you have the right soil and water conditions for this kind of a setup, unless you want to take a big gamble on doing a whole lot of banging. But if it doesn't work out, at least you'll have a really nice grounding rod.